what's up everybody, and welcome to what I am calling the best drum lesson. Now, I'm not calling it that because I'm the best drummer or because I am the best teacher. No, it's called that because the information I'm talking about today is really, really important and can help speed up your practice and your improvement behind the drum set. And to me, I think that is the best kind of drum lesson. Now, it's also called that because it is a play on the title of this book, The Best Beginner Drum Book, which two of my great friends at Drumeo, Jared and Brandon, both put together. The book is phenomenal, and I thought about calling the lesson The Best Beginner Drum Lesson, but at the end of the day, I didn't want to call it that because this isn't just for beginners. This book is a great beginner book, and if you're an intermediate drummer, you could probably find a lot of great things in here too, but this lesson is great for beginner drummers and for drummers who have been playing for years, because this is what can change your practice routine. So, what we're talking about is goals, baby, setting goals, and also developing a practice routine. Now, both of these may seem very simple or very like, why in the world is that so important? Because here's the thing, if you sit down behind a drum set for 6 hours in a day, you could waste those 6 hours or you could learn so much in those 6 hours. And your goals and developing a practice routine are the huge difference in what those 6 hours become. Or that 1 hour, or that 30 minutes, or that 10 minutes. Those amounts of time can be so much more efficient if you sit down and you develop goals for what you're trying to learn and you have a practice routine for how you are going to go about that. So let me sit down and talk to you about some of the things mentioned in this book and some of my personal goals and my practice routine that can help speed up your practice and make you a better drummer faster. Let's go. So the first step is goals. Everybody's got them, but do you have them in your playing? You may think to yourself like, oh yeah, I have goals. I want to play like Mike Mangini, or I want to play like Benny Greb. Yes, those are goals. Those are one-day attainable goals if you work your butt off and you give it everything you got and you practice really, really hard. But those are not goals that are going to help this practice routine necessarily become the most successful that it can be. So, in our book here, on the page about goals, it's called Setting Goals, and there are 3 types of goals that this book talks about. You've got weekly goals, you've got monthly goals, and you've got yearly goals. Now, thinking about that, you're probably like, oh, mind blown, in a year I want to be amazing, and this week I want to learn something. Like, it's definitely something that's going to take a few minutes of your time to really sit down, maybe an hour or 2 hours to put together your yearly and your monthly goals, and also to focus on your weekly goals. Like, just figuring out what it is you're trying to do is going to be huge in changing the productivity level of your actual practice sessions. Now, when you're thinking about your goals, here's kind of how I think about it when I see these 3 categories here. Yearly goals are really big things. So in here we've got compose 3 drum solos based on different rudiments. Okay, so the reason that's a yearly goal is, first off, composing a drum solo can take a little while, especially if it's something that's like actually written out or in your brain written out. But based on different rudiments, what you can do there is you can think to yourself, okay, well, in a year, I want to master, my favorite rudiment's the FLAM accent. So I want to master the FLAM accent. I want to master the PARADIDDLE, and I want to master, let's just say, we'll say single stroke rolls, because that's mentioned elsewhere here. So now you have these 3 rudiments that you have to master, and you have to compose 3 drum solos. So that's a good yearly goal. That's a big chunk of something to do. But the yearly goal is not something that each day you're like, okay, I've got an hour to practice, so I'm going to spend an hour working on my drum solo. No. We've got a lot more important things to do in order to achieve the yearly goal that are going to help make you better along the way. So, next up is monthly goals. Monthly goals are things that you really want to be attainable. Same thing with weekly goals, same thing with yearly goals, but those can be bigger picture dreaming things. But for your monthly goal, they have increased single paradiddle speed on the pad by 20 BPM. Now, remember we mentioned having 3 drum solos of different rudiments. Well, if one of those rudiments is the single paradiddle, your monthly goal of increasing it by 20 BPM is going to be huge in helping you get to your yearly goal of playing a drum solo using that single paradiddle and mastering the single paradiddle. Now, what you have to think about is your monthly goal is big concepts that you're trying to achieve. Your weekly goal is what you're going to do in a week to be better at the end of the month and achieve that monthly goal. So if you think of it in like 3 little sections instead of thinking like weekly goal, well, this week I want to be better at that, and like you have to think about your weekly goals helping you to achieve your monthly goals. Now, what's really important about this is on your weekly goals, it says increase single stroke speed around the kit by 5 BPM. Now, like we said, another drum solo thing where you're trying to work on those single stroke rolls. But what's important about this is the fact that it says 5 BPM. Now, this could be the only thing that you learn from this lesson, and it will change your life if you haven't thought about it before. A lot of drummers sit down behind a kit. They're like, okay, paradiddles. Let's see what happens here. I'm gonna play a paradiddle. Let's play it real slow, make sure I got it. Cool, paradiddle sounds good. All right, well, I saw this guy play the paradiddle really, really fast, and I want to be able to play the paradiddle really, really fast, so let's do it much faster. And you sit down and you think, okay, well, if I can play it slow, let me try and play it fast. And if I just keep practicing it fast, I'm gonna get better. The reason that this weekly goal of increasing single stroke or single paradiddle or whatever you're working on by 5 BPM is important is because each day or each practice session, you can increase the BPM of what you're working on by just a BPM or 2. And what that does, it's like going to the gym every day and working out. If someone sees you on day 1 and then sees you on day 360, they're gonna be like, wow, that is insane. Look how much progress he's made. But if they see you on day 1 and they see you on day 2, they're gonna think, okay, cool, he worked out. Well, that's what you're training yourself, your muscles to do, is that each day you're making a little bit of progress and you're actually building the muscles in your arms, you're actually building the technique behind what you're playing, and you're tricking yourself into thinking like, wow, it's not that big of a difference. But in 1 week, you're up 5 BPM. In 1 month, you're up 20 BPM, like this monthly goal here. So that is super, super important, because instead of going from to and trying to do it the wrong way, you are doing it very, very slowly. Day 1. That probably shouldn't be your day 1. You should start slower than that just to make sure you build a good foundation. But day 2, instead of, is now just a very, very slight amount faster. 1 BPM, 2 BPM, 3 BPM should probably be the max if you're doing it day by day. If you're practicing every other day or something, maybe you can get away with 3. But that is a huge part of seeing your weekly goal become your monthly goal, become your yearly goal. Because if you were to increase your single paradiddle speed by 5 BPM per week, 20 BPM per month, in 3 months, you're going to be able to tear up this kit with a single paradiddle. And then you're going to be able to use that in that first drum solo that you're working on. Now, just to mention a couple of the other goals on here, because they're all very important. Learn 5 new rock drum beats and be able to play them at 90 BPM perfectly for 5 minutes straight. This is another big one, because here's the thing. If you sit down at your drum set and you're like, all right, I want to play a new rock groove, and you're like, let's play this one. Like, okay, I played that 4 measures. All those 4 measures were great. I've probably got that groove. There's a difference between being able to play it for 4 measures straight and being able to play it for 5 minutes straight. That's why that monthly goal or weekly goal says play them at 90 BPM for 5 minutes perfectly. And what that means is if you want to be a professional drummer, if you want to go out into the world and gig and play for an artist or play cover bands or play for a band, you're not gonna ever find yourself playing that groove for 4 measures. You're gonna find yourself playing that groove for 5 minutes straight. And yes, in a song you're gonna have like a chorus, or you're gonna have fills and things like that. But if you can sit there and you can play to a metronome at 90 BPM or whatever BPM you're trying to get to, and play it rock solid, everything is in place, all the notes sound the same. That's another big one. It doesn't sound notes are taking different forms and sounding differently. You're able to precisely play on beat do it with feel, and hit every note where it's supposed to be the way it's supposed to sound, that is going to be what impresses a band leader. That is going to be what impresses somebody who wants to hire you. So that's why that is a huge weekly goal, and a huge monthly goal is to learn those rock beats all around your kit and be able to play them and conquer them. And in a year, that's going to allow you to do some of these bigger picture things. Like, here's another good yearly goal while we're still talking about goals. Join a band and play a live show. Yeah, you could think, oh, that's a monthly goal. Like, yeah, you could join a band and you could learn some songs, you guys could play a live show. But if you want to play and really do a great job with a band, joining a band and playing a live show is a great yearly goal, especially if you've never done that before. And so all these things in the weekly goals and monthly goals section, which I'll put up on the screen, all those things are things that can help you achieve that yearly goal of joining a band and playing a live show. Because if you can play your rock grooves, if you can play your rudiments, sometimes you may need a drum solo. I don't know what kind of band you're trying to join. But those are all so important. Now, what's more important than that though, because you gotta have goals, you gotta know where you're trying to get to. But you have to know how you're trying to get there. And that is why the second part of this is developing a practice routine. I'm going to do that again. Practice routine. That's a good thumbnail there for you. So the reason that practice routines are what is so important is because you can have goals. You can have goals all day long. I have goals. Like, oh, I really want Dave Grohl to come to my studio. But it's not as simple as thinking, okay, I want Dave Grohl to come to my studio. In order to get him here, there's a whole lot of things I got to do from a business and studio standpoint. Now, that's beside the point. In order to achieve your drumming goals, you have to have a lot of practice and a lot of productive practice in order to hit those goals and hit them the best way that you can. So, taking a look here at the 30-minute practice routine that they have listed in here. So for 5 minutes, it says practice the single stroke roll on a practice pad. Now, if you go back to your goals, it says increase single stroke speed around the kit by 5 BPM. Cool, that makes sense. If you're gonna increase your single stroke speed by 5 BPM, you gotta practice that. So, got a drum pad. This one's pretty cool. It's the Drumeo P4 practice pad that has the different layers. Mine looks a little burnt because it literally is burnt. I played with fire sticks on it. But here's the thing, 5 minutes is not like, okay, so you got 5 minutes allotted for the single stroke roll. Let's try it with a metronome. Sounds great. I'm gonna move on. No, 5 minutes is playing with a metronome for 5 whole minutes. And this is where it gets a little bit like, oh man, I don't wanna play for 5 straight minutes. But you gotta know that if you're playing for 5 straight minutes, you're building the muscles in your arm. You're building the technique if you're doing it right. Plus, if you have a pad like this where there's different layers and different sounds, you can actually practice moving around the pad. You can play here for a little while, then you can move it around. Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that for 5 minutes because that would make for a pretty boring drum lesson video, but I wanted to show you that, hey, you can have a little fun with it and you can build those muscles in that 5 minutes. And if you spent 5 minutes every single day increasing it by 1 BPM, oh, you would be so good at the single stroke roll. You would be so good at single strokes. Your arms would be so built. In 2 months, 40 BPM of 5 minutes a day like that, increasing it by 1 or 2 BPM a day, I mean, you could actually hit higher than those goals listed, but if you don't practice every day, then, you know, that's why 5 is a little bit more attainable, because one of the most important things is for your goals and for your practice routine to be attainable. Don't set yourself an hour and a half practice routine worth of stuff and then only have 30 minutes of practice every day. Don't say, I want to increase my single stroke speed by 80 BPM this month, because that's too much. That's not gonna give your arms, your technique, your ability to grow the way it should. Now, looking back at our practice routine here, it says learn 2 different 8-note rock drum beats. Goes right back to learning those rock beats we were talking about. So you got 10 minutes. You play each rock beat for 5 minutes. You are gonna be real good at that rock beat. And like we said, 5 minutes of just being solid. 5 minutes of making sure the sounds are right. 5 minutes of playing and having fun with it. You know, you don't have to sit back and be like, oh, I'm gonna play 5 minutes of drums and it's gonna be the same groove and it sucks. Like, just have fun. can have fun with a simple groove. I know that some people don't think that, but hey, playing drums and making people dance and just playing a powerful rock groove is a lot of fun, and you can enjoy it. So, let's see here. You got this one. This is the important part. This is my favorite, and I think the most important part of a daily practice or weekly practice routine is work on one new song or play along track for 10 minutes. Now, that 10 minutes is not like you have to learn a new song or something like that. But what I think that 10 minutes represents is the ability to have fun. Okay, so this other stuff is grinding it out, playing on a practice pad for 5 minutes, playing a rock groove for 5 minutes to a metronome. Those things are grinds. They're not the most fun in the world. Like I said, you can have a little fun, you can enjoy it, but those are grinding processes that help build everything. Now, your 10 minutes at the end of your lesson, your practice session, your 20 minutes, your 30 minutes, however long you have where you can allot some time at the end to just have fun. Find your favorite song. If you don't want to learn a new song, find your favorite song and practice your single strokes to your favorite song. Practice your rudiment to your favorite song. Practice your rock grooves to a play-along track. Drumeo has some great play-along tracks. The thing at the end of the day is this. It's okay to use a track as a metronome, and if you're practicing to a track that has a steady BPM and using it as a metronome, you can even turn a metronome on with the track if you have that capability, then you can have fun and you can practice these things, and it can all come full circle, because at the end of the day, if you're not having fun in your practice routine, if you're not having fun every day you get behind a drum set, then you're not going to work as hard and you're not going to love it. And so that is my best drum lesson suggestion at the end of what is the best drum lesson here, and that is to set your goals, set your practice sessions, be thorough, make sure you know what you're trying to achieve, and then have fun. Have fun crossing it off. Make a big huge chart, throw it up on your wall, put your goals for the month on the dang chart, and go over there and just scratch through it when you knock it out, because that feels good. It feels really good. Reward yourself, you know? Say, I am not going to get a new pair of drumsticks, or I'm not gonna buy that new cymbal I really want until I can play my single paradiddle at 100 BPM instead of 80, or whatever it is. Give yourself a reason to love the drums and have fun and make lots of progress. So that is the best drum lesson. That is what I feel like is going to be the difference between sitting behind a kit and not knowing what to do and achieving your dreams as a drummer. And that's why I'm so thankful for that lesson out of the Best Beginner Drum book. You guys should check it out. You guys should get one for yourself, whether you're a beginner drummer or if you're intermediate, or hey, if you're an expert and you just want a really great book to teach out of, or, you know, there's always things to learn inside of everybody's insight into drumming. That's the thing, is everybody has a little bit different idea of what's going to make you better, and if you learn a little bit from everyone, you are going to succeed at a higher level. Which also brings me to the point that if you like this lesson, you can click the link in the top of the description and go put in your email, and me and Drumeo will send you some free lessons that we put together. I've got a How to Get Started Playing Drums series, and I also have a series on linear drumming. Both of those I think are really cool for beginners and for intermediate expert drummers. You can find a little bit of something in both of those for sure, and they're completely free. So sign up, check out Drumeo, check out all the amazing educators over there, and check out the book. Also in the description, you can get one for yourself. I think it's $29.99, and it is, I mean, boom. It also comes with a free month of Drumeo Edge, which is awesome. So I'm gonna play you guys out. I'm gonna show you how you can take a play along track and have some fun. Totally improv, just jamming here, just having a good time. And I'm going to show you how to play like paradiddles or single strokes or FLAM accent, which is my favorite, around the kit to a play along track. So let's enjoy.